Hi everyone, it's Sabrina again, and today I'm doing a small library haul. I've been really bad reading my library books lately. They've been coming home, sat on the side, I've had them out, I've renewed them, and they've not been read, so they've been taken back. It's mainly because I've got so many books at the moment to get around to reading. Library books, I know I can go and borrow them again and read them when I've got time. So I went into the library Saturday. Been a bit naughty, borrowed quite a few books. But I'm not going to feel too bad about it, because even if I don't get to all these books, I know they're in my library system and I can get my hands on them any point in the future that I want to read them. I know they will be there waiting for me, which is great. And I don't think people, particularly in the UK, use their libraries to their full advantage. I don't think they realise that libraries are there for you to borrow books, to try books. If you don't get around to reading them, that's okay. It's not a problem. Return them, get them back out again. You know, it's good for the library to see these books going in and out and being borrowed all the time, because that means their statistics go up, their targets go up, the more books are being borrowed, and it's being registered that people are using their library on a regular basis. So for them, it's a good situation, and for us, it's like, well, I didn't read the book this time, I will read it next time, but I still don't have to go out and buy it, which is great. Libraries are also there for you to go and try out a book series. So if you know there are about 6 books in a series and you don't know if you're going to like it or not, and it's a big monetary investment, you could borrow the first one from your library, because let's face it, most book series in the library, they have the first 1 or 2. And so you can try it, see if you like it before you go ahead and buy the rest of the series. It's a brilliant way to sort of taste if you like that author or not. Graphic novels, I find, are extremely expensive compared to a book. You know, we're talking at least 12 quid for a graphic novel, and that's a lot of money for a book that I can read in a couple of hours' time. For me, I kind of feel a bit cheated with a graphic novel. I prefer the thicker ones because they last longer when I read them. But you can go to the library, borrow these graphic novels to your heart's content without having to fork out all that money all the time. The other thing I really like about our libraries is, once their books are slightly too tatty to be on the borrowing shelf, they put them in the for sale shelf, and you can pick up some damn pretty good nick books for 50p. I mean, who's going to quibble at that? Yes, it's got the library stamp in there, and there'll be the barcode at the back that needs to be deactivated. You can cope with that. You can get up some really good bargains, really cheap, in your library, just by browsing that shelf every so often and keeping an eye on what they've got for sale. I appreciate not everybody has a good library near them. That's the biggest problem. There's no continuity between libraries. They're either really, really good, they're okay, or very, very poor. And I think in America, certainly I'm hearing of a lot more people who have poor libraries closer to them because they're not within the city. So they're always having to order books, which ends up being expensive. Some of you have to pay a membership fee to join the library. This is like an alien concept to me. Libraries over here are free to join. It's free to buy your books. You pay to buy your DVDs, Blu-rays and your audios. Everything else is free to borrow. And if you lose the book or you damage the book, you're expected to pay for it as you would normally. But our libraries are free to use and free to join, and I can't believe that some of you have to pay a subscription to join your library. That's, wow. That's very alien to me. But if you've got a good library, use it, because we are losing our libraries terribly fast. Many councils think that they're a luxury they can't afford. They don't seem to think of any of the benefits that libraries provide for the community, individuals and society as a whole. Some libraries rely upon volunteers to run them, which is great and wonderful because these people are very passionate. But we also need trained librarians in libraries to support other members of staff, to support volunteers, and to ensure that the stock of books coming in, being read and being used, is constantly being refreshed and up to date and is relevant to who's using the local library. So if you've got a library, please go and visit it. Please go and check it out. Go and spend some time in there. See if there's any books you really fancy. Now, I know some people say, oh, libraries don't have the latest books. look what I found on the shelf of my library on Saturday. This book's been out, what, a couple of months in the UK? I'm so chuffed because I do want to read it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it. So I wanted to kind of hope I could borrow a copy before reading it. So Zenith by Sasha Ellsberg and Lizzie Cummings. Those of us on Booktube, you've heard of this book. This is doing the rounds at the moment. This is getting a lot of love and a lot of hype. I haven't read it yet, so I need to formulate my own opinions, but sci-fi kind of bounty hunter Firefly-esque book, I'm up for that. I'll give it a go. But yeah, pretty much a brand new publication in my library. Jay Kristoff is an author I keep hearing being bandied about on Booktube at the moment. He's quite big right now. Look what my library had in stock. I've got Shadow Dancer here, which is book 1 in The Lotus War. So that's one of his. Brilliant. And Nevernight, also book 1 in the series. So I'm really chuffed about that. An author I keep hearing about. This book particularly I really wanted to read because everybody had said how good it was. And then another one of his books sat there on the same spinner. How cool is that? The Falconer by Elizabeth May. I've heard somebody reading about this. I can't remember who it was though, which is very frustrating. But they said it was a really lovely book. And there it was, on the same spinner as my Jay Kristoff's. I was very chuffed. It's like, yes, I'm borrowing that. I'm having that. This is one Booktubers will know about. This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. I did get this out late last year. I didn't get round to reading it. They've got 2 copies of this in our library, and the sequel, Our Dark Duet, was also on the same spinner. I can't quibble. I'm getting it out again. I'm going to try and read it again. But there we go. Libraries can have some of the latest books pretty quickly. And that's great, particularly the popular authors at the moment. I did notice my local library has stocked up on its copies of Sarah J. Maas books because they know they are being read. They finally got a copy of A Court of Wings and Ruin in there. Yes, it's about 7 months after it's been released, but there's finally a now complete set in my local library. And I'm not talking about the big one in the middle of town. This is one of the outskirt ones. I'm really fortunate. I have a very good library. They also have a good graphic novel collection for adults. They have one for teenagers, one for children, and also one for adults, which is down the other end of the building, so nothing gets mixed up. So I picked up these 2. The New Ghostbusters. This is by Eric Burnham, and the art's by Dan Showing. I don't know anything about this. Apparently the Ghostbusters have gone missing, and so this lot can't team up to step in, as it were, and fill in their shoes. So it'd be interesting to see how this kind of fits in with the mythology of the Ghostbusters films, where it fits in with regards to the reboot version or sequel, whatever it's being called these days. So, I thought I'd give it a go. And then Wonder Woman, this is year 1, written by Greg Rucka, Nicholas Scott, and Romulo Jr. That's probably terribly mashed, but there you go. Which is a collection of, I think this is the 52 Rebirth unit. But this is volume 2 in the series, so collection of comics all put together. I missed this series when it initially came out. I keep humming and ahhing about picking it up in the comic shop, but they've got a volume in my library. I can pick it up and try it. So yeah, that was my library book haul. I wasn't expecting to go in and get any library books. I have enough at home to read at the moment, which is terrible to say because I do want to support my local library. I do want to borrow books. I want to show they're being used and loved. But to go in and come out with 7 books? Yeah, it's mildly excessive, but I couldn't resist. There was so much in there. I mean, there was more in there I wanted to borrow as well. So, like I say, I am very fortunate. I have a very good library, and I have good librarians in there who know what they're talking about, who are up on various genres of fiction as well. So, I'm just lucky. So yeah, if you do have a library near you, please go and try it out. Please have a look, see if there's anything in there you fancy. And I'm really hoping you haven't got one of these lost and forgotten libraries, that you have one that is on the ball, that kind of does know what it's doing and does stock a good variety of books, not just from 20 years ago, but also from the last couple of years. I think it's very important that librarians are aware of what's out there as well. Strike Back Videothon has finished, but I'll still be shouting out smaller booktubers because I want to do that. So today's one is Benjamin of Tomes. He's a publishing company. He has, obviously the publishing company has its own Twitter account. This is his personal booktube channel. He's very enthusiastic, very good at showcasing a variety of YA, fantasy and sci-fi that you might not have heard of, particularly from smaller publishers like himself. And he's very enthusiastic, so I will leave a link to his channel down below. I want you to go and check it out, please. Show him some love. And below his link you will find a link to my book blog, which has me doing general ramblings and pretty photos, and my social media links are underneath that. You can find me on Goodreads, Twitter and Instagram, where there are also more pretty pictures of books if you want that sort of thing. As always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you got out of your local library down in the comments below, and happy reading. Bye!